She froze when the door creaked open at midnight. The silence broke with a sharp slap that echoed through the cold room. You think your baby means you're special? Segan's voice hissed like a serpent in the dark. Yatund's breath caught her throat, pain stabbing sharper than before. Every night was a new torment. Kneeling on rice, sleeping on the floor, walking miles while her belly grew heavy with life. But tonight, something inside her snapped. She clenched her fists, tears mixing with fury. And that's where her story truly began. Before we dive deeper, please, if you're listening to this right now, I want to prove my stepmom wrong. She said I can't even reach 1,000 subscribers. Help me show her that stories like this matter. Subscribe to Jossy's Folklore, and let's keep breathing life into tales that refuse to die. Now, let's continue. She woke to the heavy silence of the compound, broken only by the distant crowing of a rooster. Her small body lay curled on the cold, cracked floor of the room she called home, though home felt more like a prison. The sun hadn't even risen, but her heart was already pounding with dread. Tonight, like many nights before, she knew the storm would come again. Yatund was carrying a new life inside her. But instead of joy, the pregnancy brought more pain. Her husband, Segan, had grown colder, harsher. His eyes, once warm, now held only cruelty and anger. You lazy woman, he spat the words as he slammed the door open. Get on your knees on the rice. Yatund's knees pressed painfully into the tiny grains scattered on the floor. The rough texture bit into her swollen skin, but she didn't dare complain. The fear twisting in her chest was worse than the pain. Walk to the well. Now. His voice was sharp, like a whip cracking through the stillness. Her legs shook as she obeyed, every step an act of will. The journey was long for anyone, but for her, pregnant, exhausted, it was torture. At the well, her trembling hands filled the battered bucket with water. She longed for just a moment of peace, a breath of kindness, but none came. Back inside, she was ordered to sleep on the floor, without a mattress or blanket. The chill seeped into her bones. She thought of her unborn child, a tiny spark of hope flickering inside the darkness of her life. Why me? She whispered to the empty room. But there was no answer. Only silence. Only pain. The next morning, when the compound gate clicked locked, sealing her in, Yatund knew she couldn't survive like this. Not for herself, and not for the child growing inside her. She began to plan quietly, gathering what little she could without drawing attention. Her heart beat with a mix of fear and fierce determination. One early dawn, with the sky still painted in stars, she made her move. The gate was locked tight, but desperation gave her strength. When a bus conductor, a kind stranger with a soft smile, offered her a free ride to Abaddon, she accepted without hesitation. Where you headed, Mama? He asked gently. To my cousin, she replied, her voice barely a whisper. I need to be safe. On that bus, every mile was a step closer to freedom, to healing, to a new life. Arriving in Abaddon felt like stepping into a different world, one filled with uncertain hope. The dusty streets bustled with life, voices mingling in a language that was both familiar and foreign. But Yatund's heart ached less here. She was away from Segan's shadow, away from the endless torment. Her cousin, Funmalio, greeted her with wide eyes and a tight hug. Yatund, you made it. Come, you're safe now, she said softly. Still trembling, Yatund nodded. The weight of years of pain slowly began to lift, replaced by cautious hope. Through Funmalio, Yatund met Mom and Goy, kind neighbors who introduced her to New Dawn, a women's shelter where broken stories found healing. Dr. Emmanuel, a gentle man with wise eyes, welcomed her and many others who had suffered as she had. At New Dawn, Yatund found more than safety. She found sisterhood. Women who had survived the worst, sharing stories of broken marriages, lost children, and stolen dreams. Their laughter mixed with tears, creating a space where pain could breathe and begin to fade. Yatund enrolled in classes, computer literacy, business management, things she had never imagined possible. Each lesson was a brick in rebuilding her shattered life. For the first time in years, she dared to dream. She thought often of her unborn child, now born and growing strong. She named her daughter Amaka, meaning beautiful, a symbol of the light breaking through her darkest days. Years passed. Yatund, now Dr. Yatund Kororo, stood tall, not just as a survivor, but as a leader. She founded Unbreakable Women International, an organization to support pregnant women and mothers escaping domestic violence across Africa. Her mission was clear: to give back what was stolen. Her heart ached to bring change home, so she partnered with the Nigerian government to establish shelters, including one in Onitsha, the very town where her nightmare began. Across from Segun's old compound, a new building rose, a beacon of hope. But while Yatund thrived, Segun's world crumbled. His business failed, and the community turned its back on him. Shadows clung tighter. The grand opening of the shelter in Onitsha was a day heavy with emotion. Women and children gathered, faces bright with hope and tears. The air buzzed with energy, a mix of celebration and solemn remembrance. Yatund stood at the podium, her voice steady but full of feeling. This shelter is more than a building. It's a promise that no woman will suffer in silence again. Among the crowd, Segun stood, older and broken. His eyes were filled with shame, the weight of his sins finally crushing him. When it was his turn, Segun stepped forward trembling. "I was wrong. I hurt the woman who gave me life," he confessed loudly, voice cracking. "I beg for forgiveness, not to be welcomed back, but to heal what I destroyed." Yatund looked at him with a calm that stunned many. "Forgiveness is not forgetting, Segun. It is freeing yourself from hate. But there will be no reconciliation." The community watched in awe as Segun handed over the deeds to his property to Yatund's organization, a symbolic surrender and restitution. With tears, Yatund announced a new program, From Survivor to Success, providing startup capital for women ready to reclaim their lives. She also revealed a school curriculum she helped develop, teaching young people about respect, love, and the courage to speak out. Years later, after a quiet illness, Segun passed away, his final days marked by regret, but also transformation. Yatund's message echoed louder than ever. Women are unbreakable. No matter the pain, no matter the scars, we have the power to create new chapters in our lives. Seek help. Believe in your strength. Her story, once buried in darkness, became a light shining across Africa, proof that even from the deepest wounds, hope can rise. If this story touched you, hit that subscribe button for more emotional tales from Jossy's Folklore. And even if it didn't, come on, subscribe anyway. We'll win you over next time. Drop a comment, like the video, and let's keep the stories alive. Thanks for watching.